Good morning, Facebookers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I think it's time to do another class. What do you guys think? How about this class is about holding public officials accountable for their dereliction of duty and how to do it from A to Z, from start to finish, to walking out with remedy, whether that remedy be a paycheck, an apology, just compensation for a trespass causing you a harm. I think it's time to finally start bringing you guys up to speed on that. Got a call this morning from a gentleman that says, Derek, the entire staff at the courthouse wants to know where you're at. Where's your buddy? Where's your friend? I said, I have no problem coming on back down there and having a cup of coffee with every last one of them, if that be their wish, if that be their desire. I have no problem doing that. You see their clerk of the court, she's a little shaken right now. All she has to do is the right thing. I know she liked to say that she's just doing her job, and we'd be more than willing to forgive her for her trespass, causing this man harm, because what she's actually doing by delaying justice is she becomes a conspirator against his unalienable rights, and I have the ability to hold her accountable for human trafficking. Now, I haven't gone into the legal side of things yet. We're still on the lawful side because that's where man gets his remedy. But on the legal side, legally speaking, she's in violation on the administrative end of the executive order from Donald Trump about human trafficking, all right, and the trafficking of persons. I don't think it's going to need to get to that point where it becomes that nasty. But I have the ability to prosecute her. Why? Because I've already reached out to the Attorney General and they say, oh, wow, we're not going to do anything about that. Well, when you're derelict in your duty, then I have an obligation to my fellow brothers and sisters, fellow men in and on this great nation to hold these public officials accountable. And I absolutely can step up as a prosecutor, being a learned man in and at law, and can hold them accountable. And you can do it too. This is the knowledge they would really like to keep from you. So this gentleman called me today and he says, you're never going to believe this. I go, what's that? He goes, the entire staff of the courthouse is bending over backwards and is being so extraordinarily courteous, polite, and respectful to me today. And I said, that's because the power is in the knowledge that you are gaining. The paperwork speaks for itself, and you don't have to say anything. He said, well, I just want to call you this morning and let you know the entire staff at the courthouse is going above and beyond their duties to cater to my needs. That's because now they've been put on notice that they are in fact servants of the people, and that they will be held accountable for their dereliction of duty, breach of the public trust, violating their oath of office, taking their income under false pretenses, theft by way of false promise, honest services fraud. Okay? Now, when I say these things, I mean every fucking word of it. I'm not playing games. The days of me just spewing off at the mouth, wandering around aimlessly, not knowing how to enforce it, are over, ladies and gentlemen. I've gotten a lot of remedy throughout the years. It wasn't always the remedy that I sought, but nevertheless, it was relief. It was remedy. It wasn't in the form of compensation, but now we've gotten to that bit of knowledge now where we know how to get that compensation as well. It's not about them going down. It's about them correcting the behavior that is inexcusable. That's what it's about, Lisa. I don't want them going down. I want them adequately and properly trained. And if that requires I, a man, to hold them accountable and fleece them of everything they thought they fucking owned, then so fucking be it. You know, a lot of people don't realize this right now. There are good agents and agency that are resigning. They're quitting. And half the force or 3/4 of the force is leaving with them. Those are the agents and agency we wish to keep. Yet they feel that they're in a position where they have to remove themselves from the position they hold. And that's scary. Because the next nummies that replace them are be willful, negligent idiots that will follow orders versus the ones that are retiring or resigning because they don't want the jabby or they don't agree with the policies that are being thrust upon them. We need those men and women to stay where they're at and stand up and sound off like they got a pair and say, we will not follow those orders. They are a direct violation of the Constitution. We pledged an oath to that Constitution, and we are not going to run like scared children. We are going to stand up and tell you guys how it is. I haven't come up with a date for this class about how you hold these people accountable, how you make your extraordinary writs to hold them accountable. But the writs are very simple. I've been giving them to you and exhibiting them in my last few live streams. Okay, it's been for at least the last 2 weeks now that I've been showing you guys exactly what I'm doing and how I'm moving. That prompts efficient and adequate responses with remedies. These people are causing harm, damage, injury, and loss to the people who have harmed no one. You are precisely correct on that. But, as I tell everybody, we are to blame, all right? We are the ones that need to fix the way we think so we can effectively enforce the law. Now, many of my legal scholar friends go, Derek, oh my gosh, that's just crazy. You want to be the enforcer of the law? Well, somebody's got to do it, ladies and gentlemen. So we can beat around the bush all day long and say, oh, you can't call yourself an enforcer of the law. That's exactly what we are doing. We are enforcing the law. And we are showing that the law also reflects in their statutes, which they are bound by. Okay, real simple shit. So I guess I'm just getting on here this morning to find out how many of you want to do a class. The class will be scheduled for about 2 to 3 weeks out. In that duration of time, I'll have a trial by jury. Woo-woo! That'll be fun. Should invite everybody to come down and watch it, but I know that if I do something like that, they'll just dismiss it and everybody will squander their sweat equity to come down and see something that probably won't end up happening in the at the end of things. We all need to be enforcers of the law. That is correct. The law was well perfected by the Heavenly Father in the beginning of time. Okay? And Jesus Christ showed us the way, the light, the path that needs to be walked in order to enforce the law. Real simple. We always want to make sure that we're doing things in good faith, with dignity, honor, respect, grace, forgiveness. Okay? Once we point out their mistake, if they do not correct their mistake, it now becomes an egregious error at law. And errors, although we can forgive them for them, are billable. An error at law shows a wanton disregard for law. Okay? And now we can go after them. But we first have to give them proper, adequate notice of what they're doing and how it's wrong, and show them. Give them 21 days under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, which we don't have to give them that kind of grace. Because why? They have a duty to know. So I don't have to give them that grace period, but I extend that grace period to them because I would expect the same if I have made a mistake that they draw to my attention. I would expect forgiveness, and I would expect an adequate amount of time to do my due diligence and correct my piss poor performance. All right? So we give them the same respect that we expect, and I care not how long they've been doing it wrong, because that's not for me to persecute them for. It's on me to call to their attention that they have done it incorrectly, and they need to correct their actions and their behavior, and then we can let bygones be bygones, and we can move forward in mending this nation again and putting it back together, okay? Because it's in complete disarray at this point. It's a disaster. So, with that said, stay tuned. I'll be announcing a class, and if you want to be a part of that class and notified, just simply comment on this or give me a thumbs up or a heart or whatever, and make it known that you would like to be part of that class, and I'll make sure that when I do the announcement for the class that you're notified. So with that said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful, blessed morning. The call that I got from the man today telling me, you wouldn't believe how kind and courteous the staff was being, escorting me around the building, asking me if I need assistance, and I said, it's all in the paperwork. It's all in the paperwork. Because they realized really quickly when they went and talked to about 3 or 4 ministerial administrators, there's a man in town, and he means business, and he understands what our duties are, rights, titles, duties, and obligations to the American people are. And it doesn't sound like he's playing around. They're at DEFCON 5 at that courthouse, knowing full on well that if I have to come back down there, somebody's going to pay the piper, all right? Just so happens my daughter's name is Piper, and they will definitely be cutting a check to that girl, because I don't need their fiat. I don't need their wherewithal. What I need for them to do is correct their piss-poor performance and behavior and come back in to following the law. The other thing he stated to me is, we never asked his attorney to recuse himself, but the paperwork is so strong and so damning. When the attorney that he had hired caught wind of the paperwork that we had filed recently in his case, he recused himself without even giving us notice. He didn't even notify us that he was recusing himself. That's how powerful the processes that I am utilizing are. That the lying, looting, pandering, thieving, rat bastards realize that they're going to get hammered for honest services fraud, for taking their income under false pretenses, for theft by way of false promise, and they're going to owe him whatever he has given them for their performance that they have failed to do, okay? If I pay you to build me a house, 6 months later I come back and you haven't even put 2 sticks together, you rightfully owe me everything I've paid you, and then some if I find damages have occurred, all right? So those are different circumstances, but obviously you still rightfully owe me everything that I have paid you. The clerk of the courts are still wanting $180, which is an extortion, and it's an extortion because of the fact, like I explained to my other legal scholar friend, he goes, well, Derek, it's not extortion. I go, it absolutely is extortion because it's an abortion of justice. They're saying that if we don't give them something they can't specify that they want, then they're not going to issue a docket number, and therefore that's an obstruction of justice, it's an abortion of justice, it's a miscarriage of justice, it's extortion, and they're absolutely 100% liable for it, okay? So, with that said, be looking forward for a class coming up in the near future. As always, the class donation is just $100, okay? It's all it'll ever be. I'm never going to be one of those jackasses that's charging $12,000, $1,200, $5,000 for a class. I'm just not going to do it. It's beneath me to do anything of the sort. So always to be reasonable and fair. Just compensation is due and owing for a man and his time, and we want to make sure that everybody can attend. So all classes forevermore will always just be a donation of $100. Point blank and simple. All right? And I anticipate putting this class together over the next few weeks, and then I will announce when we're going to have the class. Notice of default. Yes, we will be going through due process of law. We will be going through notices, notice an opportunity to cure, notice of fault, notice of default, with the intent to invite them to our court our court where they can explain their lawful excuse, if any, they may have. All right? I appreciate that, Sharon. But, so anyway, there's a class coming up. I'll have more details for you later on this week. I'm helping a woman who is relocating to another area, and so I'll be tied up for the next few days here anyway. And then I will give you guys the announcement of the class so you guys can become very proficient at holding public officials accountable in your community. We don't fix the United States of America by trying to alter Washington, D.C. That will never happen. That 10 square mile area is not part of the United States of America. It is distinct and foreign to the United States of America. The United States is, in fact, a 10 square mile area. Okay? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It is a corporation under Title 28, 3002-15A. You and I will never change that. Period. End of discussion. However, we can fix our communities. We can address the county board of supervisors, the city board of supervisors. They work for us, and we can adjust and fix their piss poor performance and behavior. So with that said, I'll let you guys go.